everyone, welcome to another Daily Digest video. I am Merriam, and today I have a preview window that is leaking into my other window. And I'm also, let's get that. There we go. And as far as the deck I'm playing, I have a familiar looking deck. This is something that a lot of people were brewing during preview season for Amonkhet. It's a red-green, energy-based aggressive deck. But this one is particularly aggressive. It's from a recent Magic Online PTQ, and as opposed to the other lists that are trying to go pretty big with Servant of the Conduit and Glorybringer, this one stays pretty small with main deck Magma Sprays, a lot of pump spells, sort of like the Pummeler deck, things like Lathnu Hellion, other just really low-to-the-ground aggressive creatures. So we'll see if this more aggressive element of the deck can help it to compete in a fairly narrow standard format. Our opponent is playing first. They've kept 7, so we're good here. This hand is fine. We have something to do in the first few turns. His Blossoming Defenses look a little awkward, as that card usually does when you draw a lot of them, but I think it'll be okay. And we'll see what our opponent is up to. What you got? Nothing? Kept a no-lander? That would be aggressive, but I can appreciate it. Something tells me they didn't keep a no-lander, though. I think they kept a hand with several lands, and maybe some spells that they want to cast. Ooh, and an unhinged island. Well, basic island probably means my Magma Spray is pretty bad, and a third Blossoming Defense is also really awkward. Not the best start. Glorybringer Falls. I wonder if they are some sort of energy deck. Well, I'm going to get this Cub down. I don't have a clear path to crewing Heart next turn, but Heart is also fine draw. Oh, mismatched islands. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come on. What are you doing? Come on. Okay. Come on. So at least try here. I don't think these lands are that expensive on Magic Online. Maybe I'm wrong, but come on. What do you do? Oh. Wouldn't be surprised if this gets countered. Not really sure what our opponent's up to. Oh, sure, Censor. We're a little light on lands. That Censor's probably going to do something anyway, but at the very least it would have cycled. Now they continue with the Unhinged on their first Forest. If they play a Zendikar Forest next turn, I'm gonna be upset. Let's face it. Turn 4 is a good turn to put these control decks to the test because they want to be casting Glimmer of Genius or cycling Inspiration. Lathnu Hellion's a little awkward, but we have a continuous source of energy with Cub, actually, so it's not bad. We have Blossoming Defense to sort of protect that engine. Let's attack. And I can go. I think I should pump once. I want to apply pressure here. I have enough energy to do that safely. My opponent has some sort of interactive spell here, plus a counter spell for Blossoming Defense, then... Oh, Jesus. Well, Engulf would be good here, but Blossoming Defense gets my Cub out of Engulf range. Alternatively, I could just pump it again and still leave up Blossoming Defense. That's going to put me down to one energy, back up to 3. I'll go down to 1 on my end step. So I'm in danger of losing the Hellion if I can't protect the Cub the next turn. But I still have the Blossoming Defense, so... so I feel pretty good about just pumping it. Interesting that my opponent would fire off the shores there. Maybe they think Glorybringer Falls is an island? I'm just gonna, take a second to make sure I'm not being the idiot, but take 8. Now we are threatening lethal next turn. Yes, I will pay that 2 energy. Okay, well, I don't know what the deal is with this island, but maybe Unhinged Islands are still ungodly expensive on Magic Online. I don't know, but we have won fairly easily, so that's nice. Our opponent appears to be very creature light because they have Engulf the Shores, and guess what creature is really good against Engulf the Shores? Cold Knight Castigator. Get him. I don't really want any of these things. These are mainly good against creatures, and I certainly don't want these magma sprays. So why don't we get those out of here? And I kind of want to cut this Harness Lightning too, but I don't know what I'm cutting it for. It's a good chance my opponent's a Gearhulk deck. So maybe I want more Harness Lightnings, and I don't want these Invigorated Rampages because they get blown out too easily. Yeah, I'll take a risk and assume my opponent is a Gearhulk deck. So I'll have some Harness Lightnings. Still got this one Miser's Rampage. Sure, we'll top deck it to win game 3. And on to game 2. Well, I really hope Gold Knight Castigator is good because we're going to cast a lot of them. I'm going to keep this. Hand's a little slow, but very powerful. And that is a fine trade-off in this matchup. Ooh, and there's a 2-drop. Perfect. So let's play Game Trail. Sure, I'll trade this Forest. I guess I shouldn't be complaining about my opponent's lack of matching lands because mine don't match, but I don't know. When you go through the trouble of having nice lands, then not having them match seems particularly egregious. Plus, I needed something to complain about. My draw was really good. I was winning easily. It's not fair if you don't have any complaint equity. No sensor for my brawlers, so that's also nice. I have an interesting decision on my next turn as to whether or not I want to cast Lathnu Hellion or Attune to guarantee Gold Knight Castigator on turn 4. And there are a lot of things I can draw to make the decision pretty easy, so I might as well wait till I draw the next turn, see my next draw. Any land will have me play Hellion. Huh. That is an interesting one. So now I can go Hub Hellion into Attune Hellion. Thing is, yeah, I think that's good enough. It lets me... They're definitely dead by the time these Hellions are dying. So my opponent's going to have to interact with them, and it leaves back some Castigators. It's nice that Hellion is an end-step trigger, so if my opponent wants to engulf on my turn, then it'll save me some energy. Essence Scatter, okay, that's fine. Do I want to pump here? I have an odd number of energy, so I think it's fine to pump. It makes Hub an awkward draw, but then I'll just pump again. I'll just get some damage in. I have a sneaking suspicion that my opponent is playing the Michael Majors Fog concoction. That is another interesting one. Well, we'll start with an Attune. And I guess I'll get a mountain so I have 2 non-energy sources for Gold Knight Castigators. I can slow down here and play Ronus, and then try to play Hellion or Castigator next turn and attack with the Ronus. But that line is so vulnerable, and I have such a strong opening here. I think I just want to keep applying lots of pressure. I think Ronus is pretty poor in this matchup, so I'm not going to put a lot of weight on it. Again, this is also turn 4. This is their Glimmer turn, so Ronus is potentially a card they can ignore. And that would be devastating to not force them to react this turn. So I will make the most aggressive line yet again. Surprise, surprise. This last few lanes have been pretty good. They're so big. They have haste. big plus haste is like synergy. To be fair, big plus most abilities is synergy. Being big is just good. So there's a good chance my opponent is deciding between Glimmer of Genius or a counterspell of some kind. Or they're deciding between which kind of counterspell to use. Yeah, I'm tired. It's starting to get hot. Really hot in Virginia. And I always get tired when it's hot out. Just so lethargic. Moving when it's hot out is just the worst. Huh. Still in the tank. I could definitely be deciding on Disallow versus Essence Scatter number 2, or I imagine if they have a sensor, they're using it. Maybe they want to Disallow plus Cycle Sensor potentially because they don't have a 5th land. That's a reasonable decision point. A lot of different potential decision points here for my opponent. It's tough to exactly gauge what they might have, but their choice will give us a lot of insight. So we will get some information here eventually when my opponent makes a play. Have they disconnected? Nope. Just in the tank, swimming around. Because it's hot out, it's nice to go for a swim. I don't know if swimming in a tank would be great, like there's not like I'm thinking a sensory deprivation tank. There's not a lot of space in those. They're meant for you to lie really still. But it resolves. I guess we could be getting engulfed here too. Engulf hits our brawler, but not our Hellion at this point. Not going to pay energy for brawler. Nope, just take 7. I can threaten lethal next turn regardless of if I pump or not. So just want to keep energy for this Hellion. Commit, okay. Well, traded mana for mana and netted some energy on the deal. What the? Come on, Moto. What is going on? Or are they going to let, I don't know. Moto's been having some issues, but I guess they're going to let me finish my match? That would be nice. Maybe we're just going to get to finish this game. That would be awkward. Tireless Tracker. Well, that's an interesting one. Another Ronus. Ugh. Another Ronus was not really what I wanted to draw. I think my plan here is Castigator. Because then next turn I can Hellion plus Blossoming Defense. Could be getting Essence Scattered here. That would be awkward. But, yeah, I think it's our best line. We're going to be able to race this tracker back regardless, I think. Especially if my opponent is planning on engulfing. Attack with both. This time I will pay because we have plenty of energy and I want to apply a lot of pressure. Sure, you can crack that clue. Guess this is now only dealing 1 damage essentially. But that 1 damage is pretty relevant. It gets our opponent to 8. It makes our next creature lethal along with Castigator. So I do believe I will pay. Let's see if our opponent wants to make this trade. I imagine they do. Going to 5 here is mighty risky, and they've already gotten a card out of the tracker, so they can trade with some value already obtained. But they're going to think about it. Maybe our opponent is having some Magic Online issues like we were. They're not disconnected though. No, just again in the tank. And like I suspected, they're trading. So we'll get some damage in. And this turn is going to be very interesting. Another land. So now they're up to 4 islands. Huh. Is this going to be a Gear Hulk? This is Gear Hulk into commit. It's kind of awkward. If I play any creature main phase, then they can Gear Hulk Essence Scatter it. So I don't want to play Castigator. I don't want to play Hellion because attacking with it lets them play Gear Hulk still into commit on Castigator, and then I have to make a choice as to which one to save. I guess I could play Ronus. If I sort of want it to get Essence Scattered. That's the weird thing. I think trading Ronus for Essence Scatter is quite good. So I'm actually going to just play the Ronus pre-combat. Very awkward Ronus. Just trying to bait out this Gear Hulk. And I doubt that this gets the Gear Hulk bait. I think they want to play it and commit my Golden Knight Castigator. In which case I will Blossoming Defense. They'll be 2, and I will have many ways to kill them. Yeah, they're thinking about it. Still thinking about it. Ronus is also a creature that doesn't get bounced by Engulf here, so that's also nice. I'll have to play another island on their next turn in order to engulf it back to my hand. Unsurprisingly, they let it resolve. Now, use the Gear Hulk. Not surprised. Assume this will target commit. That looks like it's targeting commit, and it is. Maybe my opponent will cast Memory here, because for some reason that is how the rules work. Okay. It's Blossoming Defense, and now I'm not getting punished for that one turn we didn't pay for Brawler. I'm getting them to 2 and would have gotten them to 1. Interesting to note. Let's see what our opponent is up to here. I guess we're in an awkward spot of this Gear Hulk potentially racing back. It attacks for 10. Oh, but my Ronus blocks, so they'll have to deal with Castigator to get by Ronus. I guess they could answer this Ronus, maybe another commit, and attack me for 10. Then they'd have to have an answer for Castigator too, so an awkward spot for my opponent. They have a 1-mana way to bounce Ronus, they can attack for 16, but that's not good enough. Not good enough at all. So close, so close. 80% of the way there. Nope, they didn't have it. Man. Nobody told me my hair looked bad. What are you... Come on, guys. Gotta keep me up on these things. Sometimes you're not having your best day. Magic Online's haven't been buggy. Hair's a little messed up. But on the bright side, we won our match with a red-green energy deck. Beat a weird, nearly mono-blue deck, but you saw the power of Golden Knight Castigator, exactly what it's in the sideboard to do. I bet our opponent had a Gulf in their hand, and they were really sad at our 9 toughness creature. So I'm going to assume that was the case because it makes me happy inside. And the deck looked and performed pretty well. Just curved out nicely and applied enough pressure. Blossoming Defense protected our creatures from limited interaction. Didn't really need a removal in that matchup, so the lack of removal in our deck was an advantage, actually. That's usually what aggressive decks look like post-sideboard against control, so we're sort of pre-sideboarded in those matchups. it's a nice little bonus of taking that aggressive route. And I don't know, maybe that deck has some legs, and we just didn't figure out the right way to build red green. We just all had it wrong in previous season. That could be the case. And hope you enjoyed it, and you can come back and see me on Monday. Bye.